Hello and welcome. Today is the 11th day of, well, it's either March or August. It's obviously March, but I do not like Windows computers. As for whatever reason, if I want to record a video about 36 times out of 37 approximately, I need to have this on 100%. to record the video. If I have it at 125%, which is my normal viewing display, then the videos just don't work. I think it was yesterday or the day before, I went to change the screen location down, do a video, and this just the Cam Studio program is just not functioning. Okay, well, let me just put it back to 125, and it's working. I'm like, sweet, if only I could do this all the time. But well, the thing is it makes it harder for me to see some of the numbers on the screen. I'm just really looking at the numbers, and a 3 looks like an 8. And a few of the videos recently, I've been stating, yeah, today is the blah, blah, blah day of August, because I look at a 3, looks like an 8, and I read it as that of August. And it's all like in just pattern more than anything. I'm looking at basically a television screen, about 3 feet wide. I'm about 7 or so feet away from it. And I'll talk more about different things like that at the end of this video. So maybe I'll just start calling it like Rusev Day, because every day is actually Rusev Day. You might not be aware of that. But that's not on subject, and that's somebody else's idea. Although, let's copy someone's idea and see whose will last longer, which day that is. Because today's crypto day. Every day is crypto day. In fact, with the exception of a period over the summer where I was practically all Bitcoin, I have traded every single day, and usually multiple trades per day. So every day for me is crypto day. So happy crypto day, everybody. All right. Bitcoin and Litecoin, I'm going to talk about. This is the Poloniex chart, because I want to go over long-term stuff, and I got all the lines in, and I'm not talking about short-term here, although I'll bring up the numbers of the last 10 days and how other markets are doing. But I just love this setup when it comes down to it, and what it's been going through, and what a mathematical expectancy of a break of the resistance, and now what the probability odds are of such a case. That's what technical analysis really is, doing the best you can to find probability odds for payout odds in your huge favor. So what's the chances of an event occurring? What's the chances of the risk section hitting you? What's the cost of the risk? What's the profit of the reward? If you can get into a game where you can flip a coin and you bet like 100 units of whatever, and they'll pay you 200 or 300 if you win, then you're making a good bet in a situation like that. And that's kind of what you're trying to do within technical analysis. So setups like this, magnificent. Okay. Daily time frame. Hang on. Okay, yep, it's coming up. It's been acting pretty good lately, but sometimes it stalls out like that. This is against Bitcoin. It's outperformed Bitcoin in that little while, but it's outperformed a lot of cryptocurrencies, because when I go over my spreadsheet, which is the Litecoin base that I use against other cryptocurrencies, I'm looking over the last 10 days, down 12%, down 30, 25, down 4, 16. Hey, Core's up pretty good, but a lot of these whatever coins like Core, SLS, NXC, NXS, were added in purely because sell orders came in. I thought, yes, let's just take the Bitcoin that I was given on a sell order, buy Litecoin with it, calculate what the ratio is, and these are what the ratios were. I've already bought back once on Core, but I had 2 sell orders, so I'm looking to buy back another one. So I kind of hope it goes down a little bit more for that purpose. Although, as long as the market moves and goes, I get both buys and sells. That's all I'm hoping for. Anyway, so a lot of them are not doing quite as well. Okay, let's take a look at Litecoin crossed against the US dollar. And 10 days ago, the price action was stuck in the 215 range. So it's down, well, it's $12 below 2 plus another 15. That's 27, or 27 on 215. Translates to a noticeable amount more than 10% down. So all these other ones down 10, 15% are down that much more than the 10% Litecoin is down against, well, the dollar, that is. And you know what? It's interesting. I want to go to Bitcoin chart. I'm going to talk about the web bot. I want to talk about naysayers. I want to talk about huge volatility. And I've heard this in different places, mainly YouTube comments and other people's videos. I don't get them in my videos really at all, if at all, period. And that is things like, oh, the web bot. They called high $13,000 for the end of February, which would be in betweening these two lines. That was the call for the end of February. What did February end at? Like, oh, geez, it was like 11,000. It was a good 20% off. And this was talked about like some point back here, well before, or at least around at the $2,000 mark. I remember talking to people in crypto space who had little to no idea of what the web bot was. In fact, I think it was no idea. And I almost got laughed at about a $13,000 price in almost a year. Well, if you planned on such an event, that meant you would start selling at around $13,000. Obviously, you never want to sell all of it, but looking for profit-taking situations. And how did the profit-taking situation work if you used that up target that they gave you? Okay, so it happened earlier than expected. But when the market was rising up at the end of November, it was going parabolic. So when it was breaking 10,000, it's like, oh my goodness. I was thinking even then, man, this thing is going up faster than I thought, so maybe it's got to correct a bit. But it's even going faster than I thought after reading further updates in the web bot. And if you've been reading multiple reports, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And that is, as this segment was going in, what they called the hyperinflationary language was getting stronger, or at least in the sense that it was looking to happen earlier than expected. So I was, by reading it, thinking, oh, so it's going to happen when? Like January, late December, or January? Well, I guess it kind of, I mean, that was a large pierce above, but still, anyone who sold at 13,000, and if they sold it all and they got lucky, congratulations. But even if they sold their chunk and didn't sell any or much more above here, well, they were able to buy it back, especially when dates were given in early January about some possible days where it could go down. And well, so be it. Now, I've talked about, especially the last few days, about long-term targets. Okay, long-term numbers. 3,000 and 1,000 I've talked about. 3,000 is very much that of a healthy correction, and it's due for one. It hasn't had it yet. It hasn't had it yet. It might not for a while. It'll happen on crypto day. But that's all I'm going to say for when. It may not happen for a long amount of Earth minutes, or even hours and days possibly. Because quite frankly, and let's look at this on a weekly chart, although I'm going to switch the time frame here because the Bitstamp chart is a much nicer exchange when looking at long-term data. And this is what it looks like. There's the Fibonacci lines drawn in. 38.2% down from this high and this low in here is $3,071-ish. That's 38.2% down. It's already went down 23.6 at 62.45. Fibonacci hits again. I mean, everybody looks at it. I'm being sarcastic. Hardly anybody in crypto space looks at it. You're not going to get chart platforms that do this. A lot of people, I mean, other than people from this channel that have incorporated, and only so many from this have, not many people understand this. When I started off trading, I realized the flaw in Fibonacci, especially when I was looking at like long-term charts, like, oh, we got the silver bottom of $4 and a top of like 22, and Fibonacci doesn't look right. I was looking at it, especially with the log scale already put in, and well, I pretty much knew instantly how to calculate it because I understand the exponential math cycle, and I use that exact same sort of formula calculation in quote unquote trying to calculate time. So anyway, with that being stated, this move of the 6,000 level, because it's only at 23.6, because on the weekly time frame, all it did was barely go down over the 18 average of lows. The 18 can't even, it's just flat. It hasn't even declined yet. When you look at it on the daily chart, all it's done is have a couple legs lower. And really not even make, at least not as of yet, a lower low from any of the breakout lows, because the last one was in at around 5,600. 5,600, there was no other low from this low to this high. Okay, maybe I got through these 12,000 ones. Ooh, congratulations. It's a half-assed move, basically. And yet, what we have are a lot of pundits out there that will not look at this log chart, rather look at the linear. I'm going to put her on, and ooh, you look at this big crash. Now, how big would it look if it went down to 3,000? Yeah, people would be panicking. All the naysayers are going to be telling you that it's over for that of Bitcoin. Well, at one point, I talk about bulls having a turn and bears having a turn. There will come a time where the bears will not have a half-assed correction. They'll have a good one, at least. At least one level better than a half-assed. Because whether it's now or whether it's later, it's going to happen. Where it will retrace at least 38.2% from any major long-term low to any major or all-time high, basically. So whether it happens now with the top at 20,000 or it happens at a top, let's say, 175,000. Oh, it goes from 175,000 down to 23,000. Yeah, what would people be saying then? The naysayers will be saying Bitcoin's dead. It's down to 27,000. I mean, fools you are. And then, of course, you have a lot of people not understanding the volatility that this game of cryptos presents. Happy Crypto Day, everybody. That it has these types of volatile moves. So I do expect it to happen. Now, as far as the webbot, as it's been stated again, so they stated it was going to have this spectacular move. To make a statement for a market, even the cryptocurrency markets, to have a gain of like 7 or 8 or however many times higher it was from when he first published, or even for what it's worth when he came up with or figured out that number, that's an outrageous prediction. And to basically get it right, and yet the naysayers will say he got it wrong. Well, let them say what they want to say. Okay. I still got some things to go over because I got to talk about the very big key Fibonacci level that was talked about on the 4-minute morning this morning, as well as the failed move, fast move, because man, the Bitcoin chart is just beautiful. So let's bring back up the Bitstamp exchange and put this on the daily. And then we'll do shorter term. So the failed move, fast move. Okay, the failed move is when you significantly go below a key level and then you recapture back to where you came from relatively quickly. That's an early sign that you had a failed breakdown. And usually if there's going to be a fast move thereafter, then you're going to get up to the 18 average relatively quickly. Now we're only, it's first day since getting back up to the 18 average in here. And then even quickly thereafter that, making a statement that it's going to break above the resistance level and thus get above here at this. Well, we have a double top here. We also have a quadruple top in the makings. I'll talk about that very, very soon. We have a double bottom. We have a whole bunch of stuff that looks good. Okay. So let's shorten this out. Let's go to, I don't know, it's whatever's next in line. There's a double bottom right here. So I want to see this on like a 1 hour. There's your double bottom. Next I'll show the quad top. So you have a double bottom with the neckline just happening to occur at this 94, 84 level. Like it's just magic. I mean, everybody calculates this Fibonacci, and I'm being sarcastic when I say that. But it works. It's like nature's number. So why and how it works, I don't care. It works. If I wasn't interested in the actual psychology of human psychicness and all that stuff, I wouldn't even care about how Cliff High was getting his reports. But actually, I'm kind of interested in that stuff, but I could see why if I wasn't interested in the voodoo, woo-woo kind of stuff, that where I'd be like, okay, whatever, but if he's getting right calls and it works, just live with it. And right now, Fibonacci is working really well. So you've had a situation on this big green candle. It's a statement. Because after this came from its matching low, at this stage it wasn't a double bottom, it was just a retest of previous support, as I call it. And you have your consolidation phase. You made your statement that you were ready to revert the trend on the 6 o'clock time frame, and so far successful. You have the getting back, correcting back to the band in here, and then a statement breaking above this resistance, but it is held and stayed above this point with extreme low volatility for the good part of the last half day or such. Almost about 10 periods just going sideways, finding support at this level, staying above this key point. So a big area for concern is, well, if this is so good, why isn't it going up? But hey, sellers aren't coming into the market, and I'm even seeing a green candle here. So I looked at this last about 20 minutes ago, and there was a red candle on this time frame. Let's take a look at this at a shorter term and show you what a quadruple top looks like. That's, I think the 15 or 10 minute chart should show it. Let's do 5. Okay, so it starts here with this big candle, then you hit this bottom for the first one. You come back here, close enough to the area, that's number 2. Come back up, back here, that's number 3. Up here, 4th time, test this resistance, come back. Quadruple top. But, and I was even thinking before, man, this has got the little curve, it's so weak, and yet, when you look at this pattern here, and this is the last that I looked at Bitcoin before making the video, I was looking at this thinking, well, I mean, it's kind of bearish, but it's holding support. It's an amazing kick-ass type of setup. And even if it is a failed move, it's only going to create a higher low and just probably bottom from there, I was thinking. Okay, so a failed setup, and it's starting to make this move short term on the 5-minute time frame amongst this 18 average of highs. You can even get more technical just by looking at the last 5 periods. The green candle higher, making it to the 18 highs. The next period, it comes back down to the lows, and we see it rallies close enough to where it was. This candle, it breaks out above it, and then, of course, we're seeing this one fall a bit now, but it breaks out above it, and then it holds another pause situation, and now it's going down. Short term, yeah, you can say there's concern, but it's also above this low. And when you look at a situation of this nature, I normally would still give the benefit of the doubt here to a very bullish cause. Any of these times of these short-term movements, and we come back down to this low, like I say, maybe it tests 894 again. Maybe it does a failed move down here and rallies again higher. But I think there's a darn near good chance that the next massive correction, long term of 38.2% down, is more likely to occur at a much higher price and at a much longer time using duration of days. However, you can expect for it to happen on crypto day. Which day is crypto day? Today is crypto day. Every day is crypto day until it's not. Okay, then, have I went over everything that I wanted to? Because I think that I have, other than just rambling on that I was going to talk about regarding just different ideas, because I was talking about the computer at the start of the video, how it sucks that Windows sucks, and it really has ever since the start of Windows 10, I have believed, although Windows 7 was okay. But when I got a 10-ounce bar as a Christmas gift, what seems to be close to a decade, almost a decade ago now, I remember thinking, you know what, I will use this to maybe get a top-of-the-end computer, which was pretty much a Mac these days, you know, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, and if a 10-ounce bar can do it for me, well, that's what I want to do. And, well, right now, a 10-ounce bar goes for a few $100. Okay. And I think there will come a time where you could get that with a 10-ounce bar. Maybe even some things on top of it, or get change back. However, I'm looking at the crypto space. I could easily buy that computer today. However, in my profit-taking mechanisms, using cryptocurrencies as real money, whether it be to buy precious metals or to buy real things, then why not wait until the price action gets much higher, and then seriously think about getting it. Hang on a sec. Just had to clear my throat there for a second. Okay, just get a new computer when it's like $20 as far as I'm concerned, based on what the currency value was to me when I started. As when you get good profits, then it's like, yeah, it doesn't take too much now to get a computer. I mean, my starting value was noticeably lower than what that was worth, but now my value is significantly higher, and that's how I look at it. As now, another 10-ounce bar I wanted to use to play the World Series of Poker main event, or a major tournament of the like, which is a $10,000 buy-in. But I don't think I will ever be able to play a tournament like that. I don't think I could ever want to. I mean, I get pretty bored after 6-7 hours, and on to the second or third day. And yeah, you know, I probably, and for that reason, the adrenaline would get me going. But that's an adrenaline test to play big poker tournaments. And I thought for a second, you know what, it's getting very interesting, because the biggest poker tournament I have ever played is a $1,000 buy-in. The biggest cash game I have ever bought in for was 1,000 US dollars, with the tournament being in Canadian dollars. And I'm at the point where I'm looking at a game I might play in a few weeks, where I put $5,000 on the table, starting off with $10 and $20 blinds. You play for 5 hours, you play 5 levels of blinds, with the blinds changing every hour, and whatever you have after 5 hours, if you still have money, is yours. And I'm at the point where if Litecoin prices in the next 3 weeks can have spectacular gains, well, I mean, that's the thing. I can play poker for 5 hours, that's fun, but let's face it, it's going to get boring after that. Even if I'm doing well, it's like, okay, and let me just go over, see what's going on in the market, and just lose focus at the game? No. Another thing I've heard about people is in silver communities, and the gold community most certainly as well, is, man, I don't want to get into cryptos, I want to get into gold, or I want to get into silver. And don't get me wrong, you get into silver and gold, and I think you're making a very good decision. But sometimes step one to get into silver might be getting into cryptos. At least it has been successful in the past for putting a significant amount, but not so large. So something that you notice is a decent amount for yourself, but nothing that hurts you on a financial level. And then, especially if you're good at trading, and again, if you're just hodling these markets to higher gains, you get to the point where you're like, oh, I can now buy a whole whack of physical silver with cryptos. Stage one was to get into them. And the next thing you know, you could have two people, they start off with, say, $5,000 each. One person ends up buying, what would $5,000 you get you in silver? Maybe a couple hundred ounces or such. I'm thinking Canadian dollars when I say that as well. And then you turn 5,000 into, well, you could be talking like hundreds of thousands now. Millions even, considering I started with a small fraction of 5,000 when I begun. So I just want to get those things across within, and happy crypto day. Bye-bye.